In this lesson, I'm going to talk about how to play the Phish song AC/DC Bag. The lesson's going to be in two parts, but I'm going to hopefully keep it brief enough to fit both parts into one video. The first part's going to cover how to play the verses and the choruses, and then the second part of the video I'm going to dig into the solo section a little bit and talk about how to play through those chord changes that happen in the solo section. Now, as Phish songs go, this is another one that's not terribly difficult to play, but again, like most Phish songs, it does have a few wrinkles in it that make it interesting and not super easy, so you do have to be pretty on the ball. I am going to assume that if you're here watching this video, you're at least somewhat familiar with the song, so as far as the verses and choruses and all that, I'm going to gloss through it a little bit with the hopes that you basically know how the song goes, and I'll just show you the gist of how to play it. So the intro of the song starts with the chord progression that the song is more or less named after, for one thing, and it's also the chorus of the song, and then it's also the chord progression that you're soloing over. It goes A, C, D, C, F, A, G. So I've been watching a couple videos and listening to some recordings trying to figure out exactly how Trey plays this chord progression, and it seems to me that he mixes it up a little bit. And I suppose it doesn't matter that much because it's a pretty straightforward chord progression. But I do notice him doing something pretty cool, and he'll do this thing in a lot of different songs. He'll play all the chords really in one single position. You can really do most of this progression right here in the fifth position. And so you can play the A chord as a straight up bar chord, E-shaped bar chord here on the 5th fret. And then the C chord, what you do is you bar with your index finger the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings on the 5th fret, and then on the 7th fret of the 5th string, you grab that with your index finger, and you just play those inner 4 strings. You don't play the upper and lower E strings. That gives you a C chord. Your D chord you play as a standard A shape bar chord here in the 5th position, and then it goes back to the C, and then the F chord you play as a C-shaped bar chord here in the 5th position. And then you return to the A again. And then you pretty much need to drop down to the 3rd fret to play the G chord. So here's that intro in context. Notice I'm playing this with a pretty heavy touch in my picking hand, and that, I think that's because this is really pretty much a straightforward rock and roll song. So you really want to get that pounding rock and roll sound. So you want to play with a pretty heavy hand in your picking hand and really feel the beat hard in this song. So after you play through that intro chord progression a couple times, you come to the verse. The verse chord progression, basically the same thing as Taking Care of Business by BTO. It goes C, B flat, F, back to the C. And Trey just treats that like kind of a straightforward Chuck Berry style rock and roll lick like this. Sorry, wrong song. So anyway, what he's doing for the C chord is grabbing, it's basically a power chord. You grab the C on the 8th fret of the 6th string, and then the 10th fret of the 5th string, you grab that G. And then with your pinky on the 12th fret of the 5th string, you're rocking back and forth like this. Move the same thing down 2 frets for B flat. And then you move that same exact pattern up to the 5th and 4th strings here in the 8th position for the F chord. And I'll point out when I do that, the tip of my index finger is actually just touching the 6th string a little bit. That way I don't have to worry about my pick hitting that string. I can just keep banging away with my pick. So that little thing is just the B flat chord walking up to B and then to C. And I'll point out too that I'm hitting that B flat on a downstroke, and then the B comes on an upstroke, and then I'm back on the downstroke for C. I'll do it slow, a little faster, then up to speed. So So that break happens at a couple different points in the verse, and again, I'm going to assume if you're here that you know the song and you'll know where that break comes. So anyway, after you go around that a couple times, then you hit the last part of the verse, C to B flat. So that's a D chord, and I'm just playing that here on the 5th fret with this A position bar. And then it goes to the chorus. And the chorus is that same progression that we had at the intro. But I was watching at least one video of Trey playing this, and when he got to the chorus, he kept treating the chorus like that same rock and roll lick. So it was A, and he was doing that here in the 5th fret. C over here on the 3rd fret, 5th string. Up a whole step to the D. Back down to C. F way down here in 1st position. A, and G to end it off. So then there's another verse, another chorus after that. The breaks in the 2nd verse fall in a slightly different place than they did in the 1st verse, but the gist of it's the same. And then you get to the bridge after the 2nd chorus. And the bridge does a double time thing. It's the same exact lick, but now he doubles up his strumming, catches the upstrokes as well as the downstrokes, and goes like this. There's this really cool lick that kind of launches the solo section. It's a whole tone scale. That may or may not be something you're familiar with. It's an odd sounding scale, but it sounds really cool in this context. Here's the lick played slowly. It starts on the F sharp on the 7th fret, 2nd string, and then goes down to the 5th fret on the 2nd string also. And then the 7th and 5th frets on the 3rd string also. And then on the next 2 strings, you do 3 notes on each string. On the 4th string, you go 8th, 6th, 4th. And then on the 5th string, you go 7th, 5th, 3rd. And then those last 2 notes are on the 6th string, the 6th, and then the 4th fret. Let me do that slow. A little more up to speed.